Over here with the 28 weight, which is on the gray plastic spool, I used it for hand embroidery. This little girl, I used double strand, and over here, I used both double and single strand. This way, when you look at it, you can get some depth and dimension.
That's right. And there are more.
Right. Over here, I used the 28 weight for both handwork, and in this case, I used a double strand. And over here, I put the 28 weight in my embroidery machine.
Oh.
Isn't that great?
It is. It is.
It gives such a nice, dense fill for the lettering. And we can't leave out the hand quilters. And seeing I have to do things pretty quickly, I do most of my work by machine. So I started off very small. And here is actually my second attempt at hand quilting, and I used one of our 34 variegated colors to do hand quilting on this sample.
It's very pretty. And it goes well with the border.
Thank you.
The thread that you chose.
Isn't that a great one?
It is.
It's primary colors. This is a trapunto by machine.
Oh.
And
the trapunto is the padded part.
Exactly. And I again use the 28 weight for the quilting and the 28 weight to do the machine red work.
Very nice. Oh, kitties!
Kitties. Everybody loves kitties.
Yes.
And this is really such a fun quilt. And I used our 28 weight variegated thread. And I usually say, this is me after a good show. Looking all frazzled and a little cross-eyed. And each of the kitties are dreaming about
something different. This one a bird. I've got a cat like that. Hearts.
Love is in the air. And if you look really close, this is one of those magic eye quilts. There's a woman over here. And she's blowing love in the air. And I used our 28 weight thread to quilt this. Normally I quilt usually moderate to light. And I think most quilters out there do, because we really don't have time to do a lot of quilting.
A lot of dense quilting.
So we need to have a thread thick enough to hold those layers together. And our 40 weight and our 28 weight is absolutely wonderful for that. You really need to use the right size needles when you're doing your quilting. And when I use the 28 weight, I use a size 90-14 needle.
Okay.
Real important. And people get very confused when it comes to needles. They never know what size needle to use. And the rule of thumb for that is there should be a minimum of 1/3 open and 2/3 full. If you take a look at a needle, in other words, the thread should fill the eye 2/3 full and 1/3 open. Because there is no standardization in the thread industry, I can't tell you one size needle fits all threads.
Okay. So we have to look at it visually.
Absolutely. And that's probably the most miserable thing to do, because God forbid, you know, we have to hand thread those needles. But it really does make a difference, because if you use a needle that's too big, it's going to just punch huge holes into that quilt. And if you use a needle that's too small, what's going to happen is that you will shred that thread. And you're going to have breakage, and you're going to blame the thread, when in actuality it's the fact that you're using too small of a needle. And that really goes the same for the hand quilters.
Oh.
Hand quilters think they need to use a really, really tiny needle, and then they complain about the thread breaking. Well, they really need to thread that needle and make sure that there's enough room in that needle for that thread to work its way through. The whole purpose of a needle is to actually make a hole big enough for the thread
to go through.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Common sense, right?
Yep.
Over here,
These chickens are so cute.
All right, I'm going to tell you, I was really cackling when I did this one. This is a quilt that I quilted with 28 weight, but my chickens here were hand embroidered with our 12 weight, which is our thickest thread, and that's on a red plastic spool. Over in the center, my rooster was machine buttonhole stitch with the 12 weight.
The same weight.
And believe it or not, that goes through the needle.
Ah.
I really love the 16 top stitch needle. Or you can use an 18 jeans needle.
So try them both and see what works best?
Well, not necessarily. The reason I like the 16 top stitch needle better is that it has an elongated eye and a finer shaft. But let's say you're working at 2 o'clock in the morning and you broke your last top stitch needle, you could always switch to a jeans 18 needle.
A backup.
That's right, a backup thread.
Do we have more under here? Oh, yes.
We sure do. Over here, earlier you saw that I was using the the 28 weight for hand embroidery. Over here, I used one strand of the big 12 weight to do this hand embroidery.
Different effect.
Really different. It gives a real bold look.
Great. Oh, more quilting.
Yes, and this is more hand quilting. Mm-hmm. This was hand quilting number 3.
Okay.
Got a little better. My stitches got a little smaller, and I used a thicker thread, our 12 weight, on the red plastic spool.
Oh, and here we have some wool work.
Yes, and I used cotton on this one. Again, I did hand buttonhole stitch with our 12 weight cotton thread. Another one of my UFOs.
Very nice with the hummingbirds. More wool?
Yes, and we also have Lana, which is a wool acrylic blend.
Oh, really?
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
And that really works beautifully for the buttonhole stitch and quilting, and it really keeps the integrity of your piece having both wool thread and wool fabric.
Yes, together.
Absolutely. And what's so wonderful about the Lana is that you can use this through the eye of your needle.
The sewing machine needle.
Absolutely. Back again to that 16 top stitch needle.
Okay, that's a winner, huh?
It sure is. Everyone always asks me, what do you put in your bobbin when you're doing stitching? And I use our 50 weight because it is so fine and smooth and narrow. I can get so much thread on my bobbin that I don't have to stop and rewind my bobbin every 10 minutes. So even when I use our 12 weight, I put the 50 weight in my bobbin.
Oh, that's good, because then when you're switching back and forth, you don't have to switch your bobbin thread.
Absolutely.
So that's an added benefit.
Absolutely, and I hate stopping, so I don't have to stop as often because it is so fine. But you can use the other weights in your bobbin as well. You'll just have to stop a little more often.
Now, Marge, at that thread shop, you sell threads in these packages and thread by the spool, and then you have, it looked like a briefcase when you opened it, full of thread.
This is our bursa. And this has all 182 colors, solid colors, and 34 variegated colors. Isn't that eye candy?
It's incredible. I want it.
Okay, we can work that deal
All
out.
right. Thank you for joining us and eliminating some of these things that we stumble on when we're sewing, all about thread and needles. We really appreciate that you came here on Quilters Tea today.
Thank you, Jody, for having me.
Thank you also for watching Quilters Tea on Q&M. We'll see you next time.